into the Q&A session here. Oh, I hate that. Like, I think I went 2 minutes over on the 7 minutes. It's like, gotta go ahead and, that's painful. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the Q&A, and we're going to hear from Ski first. Ski, what questions would you have for us today, and why did you think last week's was so instrumental, so powerful?
Well, I think that just the interaction that was going on, they had a lot of contribution from Tom and Peter, yourself, and other people on the call, and I just thought there was some really good insights that were shared, and I think that's really what the course needs to be about, and that's kind of where I wanted to go with, not so much asking a specific question as to talk about how do we make this a really rocking course, and to explore some of that today. So questions that people have in their minds as they're looking at leverage and saying, okay, why is leverage important to me, to my business, to my life? How do I learn to see leverage opportunities more quickly? And then how do I learn to use leverage? In other words, you can see these things, but if you don't take advantage of them, which a lot of people don't, then it's wasted. So those are things that I think if we can pull all that in to the course and show people these things, will make it much more valuable to them, and certainly something that will really start to draw a lot more people in.
It's interesting, Ski, because at the Coffee Connection this morning, there was a gentleman. He's 63 years old. He's in so much pain. He's on so much medication. And, he's retired, phenomenally successful sales guy in the building, in the trades, where he was selling houses and commercial building and stuff like that. And, who would think, like who would think that would connect back into the mortgage industry? So when we go to the Passion Library, see, passions give us leverage. And people often think and talk about, segments or rooms in their life, like the mortgage. What does the mortgage have to do with pain? Well, this gentleman, I talked to him because I was invited by Paul Weiner to be on an advisory board of a group in Chicago. So Paul and Ski are working specifically in the mortgage industry. Like they're both passionate about the mortgage industry. And Lou owns his own IT company, but some of the things he said to Jen this last week is just really fun, so hopefully we'll get a chance to talk with them too. Paul, talk to us about the project that's going on in Chicago as it relates to pain, if you could. Are you on, Paul? You're on mute. Okay. Paul. All right.
No, I'm not on mute. My phone doesn't work.
Okay.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
So in Chicago, I work on an advisory board with Dr. John Stratz, who is he's an internist, Northwestern graduate medical school, and he was the head of or director of integrative medicine at Northwestern, and he, through his mentors and his journey through pain, he discovered kind of like the magic to pain management, and it doesn't come in the form of a pill. It comes in the form of your brain, and so this advisory board, what we're trying to do is help him twofold. One, expand his practice dramatically. Two, well, it's actually three. Two, have him understand best use of his time. It's kind of the old, what's my time worth? And for him doing diagnostics, that's the highest value of his time, not necessarily coaching people. And then the third part is getting education, letting people understand that there are options, and no matter how severe and debilitating your pain is, if you have what they affectionately refer to as mind-body syndrome, not to be confused with psychosomatic pain, it's not real, it's all in your head. It is very real, and your pain is, it's there, and I explained to Mark the easiest way to understand this is your brain is incapable of distinguishing between trauma pain, emotional trauma, something bad happened. It could have been anything from being let go from a job that you didn't realize you were going to be let go. It could have been, surviving a car accident. It could have been, being yelled at as a child. It doesn't matter. But your brain doesn't distinguish between somebody punching you in the head and having traumatic memories and getting a headache. To your brain, it's the same pain. So this education is about learning, A, are you diagnosed with mind-body? And 2, now what do you do when you are diagnosed? And, it involves journaling. It involves better understanding of how your brain, and Mark, I talked to John this past week, and oh my God, we totally segued into a brain conversation. Thank you for that. Since that's not why I went, but since you and I talked on that Sunday, it was like, wow, brain is fascinating and capable of amazing things. So that's, I'm sorry, I'm like, obviously I have a little passion surrounding this issue. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Nice.
That makes sense.
Nice. Lou, you had the most interesting, intriguing conversation with Jen. She called and talked to you for just a couple minutes. You guys ended up talking for 70 minutes. Lou, your takeaway on that, your thoughts on that? Are you there, Lou? Are you on mute? Jen, are you there?
I am.
So, Jen, tell us about your conversation with Lou.
Well, I had pretty limited information about him, so I was calling basically to say, hey, I'm on the team, introduce myself. I'm here to help you and help Mark, and what can I do for you? And you never know. Some people are like, I'm busy and I don't want to talk to you. Lou, I left a message with, and I knew he was a car guy, and I had seen his YouTube channel. I looked at it. Cars, like, I know that they're blue. I can change oil, but I'm not a car guy, And I told him, Lou, to get you to want to call me back, I'm just going to let you know I drive a 1997 Toyota 4Runner with 320,000 miles on it. So obviously, as a car guy, he's going to want to call me back. And he did, and the conversation is interesting because we all have different facets of our personality or spokes to the wheel, and they don't seem connected. But one of the coolest things I think I took away from it was he connected all of the dots for me, where you're an IT guy, but you like cars and you teach martial arts. And, like, how is any of – and then you have this mastermind group. How is any of that connected? And that was really interesting, and just that he has such great positive energy. So for me, making a phone call, not knowing this person, you just don't know what to expect. And then it was like one of the best phone calls ever that I've ever had with anyone. It was really great because he has great energy.
Nice. Tom, I know you got it.
I apologize. I'm back on the call. I was taking care of a battery problem for my daughter, but yeah, Jen, I'd like to second your recommendation on Lou's energy.
Nice. Lou, is there anything else? Like, if any of you think that Lou is narcissistic, he's not.
I got to take care of it. Hold on.
Tom, I know you got to run here in just a couple minutes. Any thoughts, questions, insights you have, Tom?
No, not really. It's interesting to be on these calls. I think that of all the things that I do, the half hour, depending on the day that I spend here, actually engages my brain to think about what could be and not just about what we have to do. And so it's an interesting call to be on. I've always enjoyed talking with you, Mark, and any of the people that you're involved with. So I want to thank everybody for their participation and for their questions and for their comments. It's always been a learning experience for me, and I look forward to many more.
Tom, you're an amazing connector, one of the best I know, connectors of thoughts and the brain. I mean, you're the one that introduced me to Napoleon Hill. How does somebody have 3 bachelor's degrees in business and not have read Think and Grow Rich? Like, what's wrong with that, right?
Well, I think it's all in. That's what we're all here for, is to help each other. And so some people have different ways of looking at it and doing things, and that just happened to be a book that was introduced to me at a very young age, and I connected with it, and it's pretty interesting. And I've used it in my whole career. I mean, it's responsible for a lot of the success I've had.
So, Tom, people probably either are nervous about sharing this, leverage the course with their friends, families, neighbors, kids, spouse, other people. For people who are afraid, their boss, their coworkers, their peers, social media, people who are afraid of sharing this course with people, what encouragement would you give to them?
Basically, I would, as you have first of all, just go do it. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is they can say no. But what you need to go in with is to talk about, just ask for I just like to sit down with you and tell you something that's impacted my life. And I think that there might be some value for you too. So talk from the heart, talk about how it's impacted you, and then invite them to come and listen and see if there's value for them in what's going on.
And then, Tom, just lastly, I find I'm becoming more and more aware that people are just so self-absorbed, they're not even thinking, like they're here almost mesmerized by all of the conversations, the diversity, and they're not thinking about other people and who else would be sitting cool to have them sitting beside them, who else to be involved with it. How do you help people to become less self-absorbed and say, all the things I'm learning, other people should learn? How do you get people to want to engage other people in what we're doing, Tom?
I think it all gets down to self-experience. If somebody gets impacted and they can share that story with somebody else and how those are the kinds of things that people relate to. And it gets people thinking, wow, if that had that kind of an impact. And, it's like I've always said, no matter what you're doing, if you can internalize your belief process, really internalize it, and you've got passion for it, once you do that, then your behavior changes. And when your behavior changes, then your outcome changes. And I think that's the process you have to go through. This has impacted me to this point that I believe so heavily in it, and I've introduced this in my life and done it, and here's the results that I've had in doing that process. And I think will intrigue people no matter what level they're at. And I guarantee you that if you're afraid to go talk to somebody, that's the one person you should go talk to.
Why?
That's been my experience in life.
Why is that, Tom? Why should we talk to the people we're most afraid?
Because I think that they have done something, said something that has impacted your life or your thought processes to them, be it good or bad, and therefore you have this feeling that, they would never listen to me, or this would not be something good for them. And if you're thinking those thoughts, I think that it's just the reverse. They would be interested in it, especially if you deliver from the standpoint of this is how it affected me, and that they probably have interest in what you believe in, and you may not believe that, but they do.
Nice.
And it reminds me of the times that that one time I told you when I was thought I was living in New Jersey, thought I was going back to California between Christmas and New Year's. Things changed, didn't happen, and I had my assistant set up a 10-15 minute meeting with every one of the staff that were in the office, and there was no agenda. The agenda was theirs, and the things that I found out about that meeting was how many people, one, had never walked in my office, two, was afraid to walk in my office, three, was really afraid to approach me on anything, which is crazy. But the most meaningful conversations I've had with any individuals and found out more about those folks came out of those 10-minute meetings. And I guarantee you the first couple, we just sat there and looked at each other because they were expecting me to say, this is what we're talking about. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was just like, I cannot open my mouth. If I open my mouth first, I've defeated the purpose of this meeting. And once I got through the first couple, and they actually came back and asked to reschedule so they could have some time to talk, I found out we had talent in our company that I never knew we had. So I think demonstrates, just go do it.
Nice. I know you got to run, Tom. If you're able to stay a couple minutes, great. If not, that's fine. Lee from Reno, she is...
And I do have to run, so
thanks.
I apologize.
No problem. Thank you, Tom.
Right.
Yep, that's okay. So Lee from Reno, she's hosting mastermind seminars. And Jonathan from Nashville is traveling out there. And so he's investing, I don't know, $1,500, $2,000, $2,500. He's doing, it's going to be quite a trip for him. So this is what's intriguing for me is and he's already registered for the event. And I shared with him and I said, hey, Jonathan, see, Mastermind Seminars is different than any other event that you'll ever go to in your life. And most people never do any preparation for an event. So they go and sit in a seat, and they don't do any prep for it, and honestly, they don't do any follow-up either. They go, they're seminar junkies, they feel good, they get motivated, inspired, then they just go back to their lives the way they were. So they don't do any prep for it. And so what I told Jonathan is I said, you want to register, and you want to register early, because as soon as you register, as soon as you put your $55 down to go to the event, it's like a seed that can then start to grow. So, Jonathan, why are you going out to Reno, putting all the time and money into it? And why did you register so quickly? Why didn't you wait until a week before or a month before? Like, why did you register so early, Jonathan?
Because if I'm making an investment in something, I want to start working on the return for that investment as soon as possible.
Nice. Lee, your thoughts, you got 4 or 5 people to sign up way in advance. Any thoughts that you have for people who might want to, participate, register for Reno, come out, great time of year to do it? Any thoughts or things that you would like to share, Lee?
I just want to welcome you if you have an interest, and I think this is going to be one of the most exciting events ever. We got a solid team who is putting in the work week by week and, building the excitement. And I love that 4 of the 5 early registrants aren't even part of my coffee connection. They're just connected to me or they've seen my social media posts. And that's really, really exciting to see the reach.
Nice. So if you'd like to find more out about Mastermind Seminars, that gives you leverage. Ed Knoll, he's a good friend of mine. He's actually the one that introduced Lee and Jen to me, so I'm forever grateful for that introduction. And he said, Mark, I don't really do events. He said, I don't really like them because, they're all the same. And I'm like, I get that. I know what he's saying. I said, but trust me, I wouldn't be involved in something that's like everything else. And so you can find more out about it at start.mastermind-seminars.org. That's start.mastermind-seminars.org. And then you can just go and visit different places. There's 12 different topics. There's a gift. There's a members-only area. There's a blog. There's, register. And if you're not able to go out to Reno, you can actually have a mini event in your own area. Like Teresa's having a mini event in Indiana. And Jill is having a mini event in Chicago. And what's cool about the mini events, like the main event, the mastermind seminars, there's a lot of work that goes into those. Mini events are like nothing. Like all you got to do is yourself and, one or two other people, and you've got a mini event, and it's really neat on what individuals, are able to do there. We're going to be going into the bonus session where we're going to be opening it up for everyone, and so there's the 7 minutes that we went a little bit over with today, but we made up for it now. And then there's the Q&A, that's 23 minutes. And then there's a bonus session. Now, the bonus session is only for, people who are participating in the backstage passes. Maybe you're able to be here, maybe you're not. If you are, great. Don't think of this as anything more than a half an hour. It's a half an hour once a week, and that will help you if you do it every single week, never missing a week. If you miss a week, then listen to the lesson, because you can see how all of this is crafted, engineered, architected together to give you leverage. You miss one lesson. You come 5 minutes late. You leave 5 minutes early. You miss one piece of it, and it can impact your leverage tremendously. There's a short 5-second pause, and then we go into the bonus session. Here we go.